Welcome to EduCasts, home of EduCasters. The developmental dip. Here is a depressing fact, backed by decades of research. As students get older, both their expectancy and their value for school tend to drop. First graders, they think they are geniuses. They think school is awesome. They want to learn everything. Ninth graders, not so much. Why the drop? 1. Competition. As they age, grading gets stricter. They start comparing themselves to peers. They realize, wait, I'm not the fastest reader. Expectancy takes a hit. 2. Specialization. They realize they can't be everything. You can't be an astronaut, ballerina, veterinarian. They start pruning their values. I'm a math person, not a word person. 3. The environment. Middle schools and high schools often become more impersonal and rigid just as students' brains are craving autonomy and connection. The cost of school goes up, social pressure, high-stakes testing, while the intrinsic value often goes down, boring lectures. Understanding this dip helps us be more compassionate. That surly teenager isn't just being difficult, they are navigating a cognitive restructuring of their world. They are frantically trying to figure out where to invest their limited energy. Cultural context. It's not one size fits all. We have to be careful not to view EVT through a strictly Western, individualistic lens. In white, middle-class American culture, we often emphasize intrinsic value, follow your passion, and individual attainment value. Be the best. But in many collectivist cultures, including many Asian, Latino, and African American communities, motivation might look different. Utility value might be framed differently. It's not just useful for my career, it's useful for supporting my family. Attainment value might be less about individual glory and more about honoring my parents or representing my community. If we try to motivate a student from a collectivist background solely with appeals to individual self-actualization, we might miss the mark. We need to understand what they value. A student might work incredibly hard, high motivation, for a subject they hate, low intrinsic value, because the utility value for their family is off the charts. We need to respect that driver, not dismiss it as inauthentic. Putting EVT to work, a diagnostic toolkit. So, you're back in the classroom on Wednesday. How do you actually use this? Think of EVT as a diagnostic checklist. When a student isn't engaging, run the equation. Scenario A. The I can't student, low expectancy, symptoms. Procrastination, negative self-talk, giving up at the first hurdle, asking for help immediately without trying. The fix. Scaffold aggressively. Give them a task they can do to build momentum. Attribute success to effort/strategy. When they succeed, say, you got that right because you outlined the paragraph first. Not, you're smart. Focus on growth. Show them their work from September versus December. Prove to them they are getting better. Scenario B. The this is boring student, low intrinsic value. Symptoms. Doing the bare minimum, zoning out, asking, does this count? Complaints about the content. The fix. Offer choice. Let them pick the topic or the format. Autonomy boosts interest. Inject novelty. Use a game, a simulation, or a weird hook to grab attention. Model enthusiasm. If you look bored teaching it, they will definitely be bored learning it. Scenario C. The why do I need this student? Low utility value. Symptoms. Good skills, but low effort. Treat school as a transaction. Focused only on grades for subjects they like. The fix. Connect to goals. Find out what they want to be. Connect the skill, not just the content, to that goal. Real-world application. Project-based learning. Have them solve a real problem. The Hulleman intervention. Have them write about how the lesson applies to their life. Scenario D. The I'm overwhelmed student. High cost. Symptoms. Anxiety, tears, avoidance, sick days, perfectionism leading to paralysis. Lower the stakes. More formative assessments, fewer high-stakes exams. Clarify the path. Uncertainty increases cost. Give clear rubrics and timelines. emotional support. Acknowledge that it's hard. Validate their feelings. Sometimes just hearing, "It's okay to be stressed, let's make a plan," reduces the emotional cost enough to get them moving. The teacher's role, the architect of expectancy and value. Here is the heavy truth. We, the educators, are the architects of this environment. We don't control the students' brains, but we control the variables that influence their equation. Every time we grade a paper, we are influencing their expectancy. Are we marking everything red and crushing their soul? Or are we highlighting what they did right and giving one actionable step for improvement? Every time we introduce a lesson, we are pitching the value. Are we walking in and saying, "Okay, open to page 45, let's get this over with"? Low value. Or are we saying, "Today we're going to learn a secret code that explains how the universe works"? High value. Every time we set a deadline or a rule, we are manipulating the cost. Are we being flexible and human, or are we rigid and punitive? This is empowering, but it's also a heavy responsibility. It means we have to be mindful. We have to watch our language. We have to check our own biases. For example, research shows that teachers often subtly communicate lower expectancy to minority students or girls in STEM fields. We might ask them easier questions or give them the answer too quickly. Pity is a low expectancy signal. By checking ourselves, by holding high expectations for everyone and providing the high support to meet them, we can shift the equation. Expectancy value theory doesn't promise a magic wand. You can't just wave the theory over a classroom and turn everyone into a scholar. Human beings are messy. Motivation fluctuates. What works on Monday might not work on Friday. But EVT gives us a map. It moves us away from the frustration of lazy kids and toward the empathy of complex learners. It reminds us that students are rational decision makers. They are constantly weighing the pros and cons. They are asking, "Is it worth it?" Our job is to tip the scales. Our job is to make the success seem possible, expectancy. Our job is to make the learning seem meaningful, value. Our job is to make the struggle seem bearable, cost. When we get that balance right, when a student looks at a challenge and thinks, "This is going to be hard, but I can do it and it matters to me," that is when the magic happens. That is when Jason picks up his pencil. That is when Sarah takes a deep breath and starts writing. That is when the classroom comes alive. So the next time you look out at that sea of faces, don't just see students. See the equations. And then go to work on the variables.